morning. I wanted to welcome everybody here today. Those in the church, and I know it's being streamed live, is that correct? So I know there's a number of friends and family who mentioned that they'd be watching live stream, so that's pretty cool. We can do this with technology now. This is a pretty cool opportunity to celebrate my dad and George, his son. I wanted to remind everybody that we are having a reception at Knights of Columbus afterwards, so at 12 noon. Those of you that don't know, just put in your GPS and it's a couple minutes around the corner. Beginning at 12 noon until 5 o'clock today, and feel free to come and go. Family appreciate it. I also want to thank all of our family and friends who have provided overwhelming support to our family over the past few days. And all that could not make the journey, I know you wanted to be here. And we appreciate the words and the confirmation that you'll be watching. One thing I actually wanted to clear up. I was at breakfast the other day at the upper deck. Shameless plug. And I was approached by a gentleman who let me know that in my dad's retirement, he had a custom door business. He would make lots of screen doors around St. Thomas for a lot of people. But he brought to my attention that my dad had given him a lifetime guarantee. So we got a little bit of a problem. So I just wanted everybody to know that my dad gave that lifetime guarantee for that his son would be carrying on the repairs. But my brother-in-law Boris is very handy, and so his phone number is 519-777-8824. He'd be happy to take care of George's screen doors for his lifetime, so just want to make sure you have that. I'll admit that after watching my dad throughout his life, by the way, I was going to say this, I got 4 go-to people in the audience that I'm going to picture you naked when I start choking up, so if I zone in on you, just don't get weirded out, I just know that I'm really picturing you naked right now. And don't get awkward, these moments are emotional. I'm not awkward, so don't feel awkward for me. I know it's tough sometimes watching people choke up. I think I can get through it. If I got my dad in me, I can get through it. But just so you know, every once in a while, if I pause and look out there, we'll get through it. As I said, I'll admit after watching my dad throughout his life and listening to the countless stories from friends and family all my life, and especially the last few days, it's quite a daunting challenge to pay tribute to him properly in this eulogy. As we all know, Dad's impact has been wide and deep in this city and among his family and friends. And but I'll do my best. As anybody knows my dad, I know it was a coping mechanism, but he laughed around death. It was his way of coping with it, but it also made it easier on all of us. So I appreciate everybody last night who stayed around family at the funeral home and celebrated the way he would have wanted to be celebrating while he lay there. This past Friday, just around 6 p.m., we lost my dad. But fortunately, we were family, given an incredible gift before he left us, a gift that too many people in the last 18 months weren't given when they lost loved ones. So, Dad, we appreciate the timing. Like he and his twin brother Andy had done so many times in their life, and just to side on this as well, is a really cool thing happened. My dad was just pretty much an hour from being pronounced passed. He burst out of his, what we thought was his sleep forever, and I think he heard my Aunt Kathy's voice. He says, "Where's Andrew?" It was a pretty cool moment, so I know we're having a good time right now. Like he and his twin brother Andy had done so many times in their life, he attracted a gathering of family, but this one final gathering was a bit different on Friday. Surrounded by his wife, kids, grandkids, nephew, and our spouses, he took his last breath. Kevin, Murray. But not before we were given 4 hours to experience his transition into this next chapter. Like so many years, I watched with awe as my dad was the biggest energy in the room. In the most ironic way possible, he was still the biggest energy in that room on Friday, even as he struggled to stay with us with each breath. So many of us in that hospital room took turns holding onto his hands, his arms, his shoulders, his feet. As usual, he was the one at the event that everyone wanted to sit beside. The number of times I heard my cousins coming from out west saying, "Where are the twins? Where are the twins? We gotta be where the twins are." Everybody wanted to be around the twins. Just like every social gathering I've ever witnessed throughout my life with him. Bigger than life, even in those dying hours. There was crying, laughing, sharing, while he listened and slowly left us. Every few minutes he would suddenly wake up and his eyes would lock with one person in the room, and he would say that big dad, "Hi!" Hilarious. Like, he was so excited to see you, and he was the person he's been waiting to see all day. He'd make a few short, funny comments and just fall back asleep, peacefully. That bigger-than-life energy was slowly being sucked out of him, but those bursts of familiar character that he was were amazing and comforting. And regardless of your religious belief, and I will say my dad really believed in his faith, and it was interesting to watch as a child, and I think it was from when he was a boy, every single morning and every single night before he went to bed, he was on his knees praying. Which if you know my dad, you might all smirk and think, "Really?" And so as kids, we saw that all the time. And so no matter who he was and who he was pretending to be, that little boy was always in it right to the end. But regardless of your beliefs, and I'm sure we have various beliefs in here today, science teaches us that there's a very simple principle of energy. Energy can neither be created nor destroyed, only converted from one form of energy to another. In that room on Friday, Dad's unique energy was being transformed in the energy makeup of everyone in that room. His grandchildren had an opportunity to really experience something special, seeing the rewards of being surrounded by so many great, loving souls that one man had accumulated on his life's journey. Here, at the end of his life, their grandfather was giving them a gift. And a gift that really I hope each and every one of them reflects on periodically with a smile, with a tear. Sorry, Father, but ultimately a kick in the ass to transform that energy gift that he was giving you into a life worthy of your grandfather's legacy. He made the most, sure did, of his life's journey, even though it was full of countless challenges. A journey that started out as a young boy who lost his mom at 10 years old to cancer. An experience that was often, as far as I know, only shared with my mom, as a memory of waving goodbye at the top of the stairs as his mom was being carried away, waving to her kids, never to see her again. He was now one of 10 kids left to a struggling farmer. There were periods where the only bed for him and his brother was in a barn. He was sent off to some challenging boarding schools and then was sent out into this world without ever completing a grade 8 education. And what did he do with all those challenges and those obstacles? Well, he and his twin brother Andrew, the journey is one I think that would make a pretty good book. They started business at 11 years old selling gum in the schoolyard for double what he and his brother paid for it at the store. They started 20-acre farms, sold calendars door-to-door and other products, started a gas station business around 18 years old, worked on the railroad while running the business, opened a larger gas station, opened up a car dealership, partnered in a boat marina, bought a 34-foot in-cabin cruiser, two twins, for us to have great times on weekends, bought into a restaurant and hotel that lived in a hotel in Port Stanley, shared in the Kettle Creek campus store in British Columbia, rented the property to Mother's Pizza for years downtown, invested in a sleeper manufacturing business for transport trucks, breeded over 1,000 rabbits in our backyard just for something to do, owned a used car lot multiple times, owned and operated a Gandhi truck and delivering Alcan windows and doors covering Ontario and Quebec, invested in property in Florida, built a 2-story cottage, and I mean built it with their own hands in Turkey Point on the water, and finally in retirement built and distributed custom screen doors. I'm exhausted really just actually reading that. And again, I have to repeat, he did that all with a grade 8 education. I don't know how many people would have the risk tolerance to do anything like that nowadays. He started so many ventures with no fear. Some were good, some were not, but all made for great stories. He had a prove me wrong motivation. Without knowing it, he was an inspiration to so many for a spirit of entrepreneurship. I even had a cousin that's told me that a few times. It was combining his genuine desire to solve problems for everyone he knew. He just had no fear to try something new. But most importantly, through all that, he partied hard every weekend. Through all that, the stress, the business failures, the business successes, deaths, my dad partied every single weekend whenever he could. Maintaining a work hard, play hard discipline from start to finish. He never missed a day of work. I'm not kidding you. I never saw my dad lay in bed sick until these last few years. Not once. No exaggeration. And I know it drives my friends crazy because we used to joke about it, but I got the perfect attendance award at St. Rachels because of my father. He never, as I mentioned, never missed a day. He was always on call for everyone who needed him, and he really was always there when something needed to be fixed or a problem solved. You called George. As kids, we were treated to a wild adventure with friends and family all the time. So many weekends with family, Downport, Turkey Point, Twin Rocks, and Minden. He loved his family and his friends dearly. His closest friends are lifelong friends from his teenage years. What an amazing group you all are. Very, very special. Dad was a man of action, not words for his family. We didn't get a lot of I love yous or way to go, good job, and sometimes we may have resented that. But given the choice, I can honestly say I'd rather always take a father who demonstrated his character by action. I can honestly say if Dad said he was going to do something, 100% of the time he did it. I was at a business conference years ago when a gentleman was speaking about his father and his deathbed, a similar message, and he was selling bracelets. So for 12 years, I wear his bracelets on my wrist, and I tell my kids all the time, I'm sure they get sick of hearing it. It says because I said I would. You say you're going to do something, you do it, and that was Dad. The only way to get my father's respect, and I heard it over and over, was to demonstrate your work ethic and your authenticity. You had to be a good guy that works hard and can be trusted. You really admired and talked about one thing, one quality, a hard worker. And you can imagine, based on that early summary of his life, why that meant so much to him. I knew every single person in his life who was a hard worker over and over again. Knew exactly, I knew what he was doing to me, making sure I knew what he respected. Nobody got praise from my dad unless he believed you worked hard. I heard a great comment from Alan today, or yesterday, when he was visiting our house, Alan Houston from Williams. And he was saying this about his dad, so I added it in here because it was exactly my dad. He said, Dad was a friendly dictator. If you worked hard, he was friendly. What a great summary of my dad. Trust me, you didn't always like it, but you couldn't help but respect it. He raised Judy and me to figure it out. Don't complain. Never act like anyone owes you anything. Be the first to jump in and help when it's needed. Pick up the damn shovel, shovel the shit, do whatever it takes, don't stand and watch. When someone comes to your house, make them feel like $1 million no matter how tired, how stressed you are. I can't tell you the number of times I heard my dad answer the phone at 7 a.m. as if he'd been awake for hours just waiting for your phone call. He had a way of making people feel that you were the person he was waiting to hear from or see walk through his door that day. He liked to refer to some people as 5-cent millionaires. If you had it, don't show it off. Be humble, don't boast. I've later learned that he would share his pride in his kids to others. Not really ever to us, but I've heard that he talked a lot about us to others, which is the better of the two. But he made sure that we grew up not expecting praise at every turn. Just keep going the extra mile, never expecting praise. Instead, just get it done, what needs to be done, and be someone that everyone can count on. I can't tell you the number of times my dad was the hero to save the day, get us all out of a jam, fix a sinking boat with his bare hands, drive up north in a blizzard multiple times to fix truck engines by himself on the side of a blizzardy highway, grab a burning, grease-filled pot of flames off our stove in our house while the kitchen's up in flames with his bare hands to save the house his family from burning down. Fix a vehicle in the remote hills of Mexico, probably laughing with my Uncle Bill the whole time. And I'm sure many of you have other stories of George's heroism, coming to the aid of many with no fear. As my uncle once said to me, I always admired your dad. He would just reduce the problem to the lowest common denominator and get it done. He marched to the beat of his own drummer. He's been knocked down, got back up, knocked down again, got back up. I can say that a million times. It's happened to him his whole life. Knocked down, get back up, successes, failures. But when I was 10, I learned a lesson that I've never forgotten, and it's pushed me through tough times my entire life, and I know my kids have heard it too many times. It sounds like a rant, but I have to say it again today because it's the most important life lesson I've ever heard from my dad. And it's a little bit short, so again, I apologize to some, but when one of his businesses was failing or failed, we were sitting at the dinner table, and he was telling us, and I know my sister and my mom looked a little bit scared. They might not even remember this. I think as a son, you remember some things about your father a little bit differently than the rest of the family. And he said to me, and I'll never forget, he looked across the table, and he said, well, he goes, I got two choices. He goes, I can walk out the garage and hang myself. Or he goes, I can wake up tomorrow and figure it out. He goes, I'll figure it out. You guys don't have to worry. And that's the last we ever heard of it. I'm sure he went back to the backyard and puked his guts out from being scared. But I know I went back and started playing that night. Probably went to play basketball in the driveway and never thought another thing about it. My dad never put his stress on his family. Another lesson that he was taught over and over is it wasn't well to don't tell someone you're going to be there and not show up. I got chastised one time hanging up from my girlfriend when I was 16 years old on the phone, and I hung up the phone and he said, what was that all about? And I said, well, she's mad at me because I said I was going to do this and blah, blah, blah. And he said, don't ever tell someone you're going to be there and not be there. That's all I said. And my dad was a deep thinker, as you all know, so that's pretty deep for him. He demanded accountability of Judy and me. When I was in grade 3, I got accused of throwing mud over the St. Greyfields fence into one of the neighbor's pools, and the pool got clogged up, and it's thousands of dollars of damage, and I actually didn't do it. And I tried to convince him I didn't do it, but I was pointed out as being one of the people that were there. And I begged and pleaded, and told him not to, do whatever he was going to do because I wasn't there, or sorry, I didn't do it. He just looked at me and he said, were you there? I said, well, yeah. He said, you did it. And he said, I don't care if you picked up a rock, you picked up mud, you surround yourself with those kinds of people, you're just as accountable. And he dragged me to the gentleman's house that lived behind St. Greyfields, to the door, I'll never forget it, opened the door, handed him a check for the cleaning of the pool, said, my son's here to apologize, maybe stand there and do a tour of the muddy pool. And it was the most painful half an hour of my life, and the gentleman when we left said to my dad, not one other parent has come by. It was accountability. And I think I resented that for a long time until I figured out exactly what the message was. In the last decade, it was really only his body that finally left him down, the only thing that prevented the continuation of my dad saving the day. To his grandchildren, which is the most important thing for me today, I'm glad everybody's here, but this message is to me, it's all about his grandchildren. Honor your grandfather by how you handle life going forward. I hope it resonates. I hope even sometimes it fills you with embarrassment of your own fears. Because in the end, you'll understand a life full of struggle is a life worth living and a life lived well. Wishing for comfort, a life free of struggle, is only an empty life. I'm so glad I was able to watch and learn, hopefully to be a fraction of his strength in the face of adversity and panic. And I really mean, I never saw my dad panic. That strong shoulder to lean on. I can see how I would rather have been given the strength and the fight instead of an abundance of empathy as a child. Life is a struggle, and he prepared us for it by his actions. When my sister fought cancer with a defiant approach, she knows that was my dad. What a gift that not enough kids are given today. We were and we will be forever grateful. It is a gift that keeps on giving. Those closest to him have the responsibility to carry that energy and someday pass it along to those closest to us. And that's how we accept his passing and how we accept the life, that life ends for us one day. But in the meantime, like George and Andy always said, we're here for a good time, not a long time. Get up, get moving, complete one great task each day, and that's a good life lived. Everyone in this church, those listening on live video stream, you're all important to my dad and my family. But for the 6 grandchildren, your grandfather has given you a gift. From the example of his life through to the experience of his death, I hope that you honor his legacy with a life worth living and journeys full of struggles and successes, only to be celebrated one day by your own families. In all his rants, and trust me, there were many, many rants, there's no hypocrisy. What I mean is, he never asked me to do something he wouldn't do or didn't do. And you know that's a gift. And it's better, and a better gift to your grandchildren. You've been given a gift of knowing him and sharing his final breath. When my oldest son, Justin, came back from his first year at Western University, we were talking one day, and we were sitting on the couch, and first of all, I told him I liked him again after high school. And he said, no, I understand. I said, I asked him if there was anything that he thinks I may have done wrong. I coached him a lot, I did a lot of things, and I was pretty hard on him. And I said, I just want to know, if you think I was too hard on you, I'll give respect to now that you've moved out of the house. And he said, Dad, I realized that you never asked me to do anything you didn't do or wouldn't do yourself. I smiled. I was proud to hear that from my son, relieved that tough, honest legacy of my dad had already started to pass on to another generation. I smiled with respect and admiration for my dad. Unfortunately, I never told him that. On Friday, August 13th, I was given a gift. As Dad was struggling when we first arrived at intensive care, I knew Mom knew, Judy knew, we all knew this was the end. I heard my oldest son's voice in my head. I heard my fiance's voice in my head, both kicking my ass, imploring me to give my dad that same gift of thanks. I was given the gift of time, and I was able to give him the same gift to let him know how unbelievable example he's been to me. I know that Judy and Mom were able to do the same with their own tribute to him in that short time. We were all given the gift of time to let him know it was a job well done, and how proud we are of his life and how much he will be missed. Being with a loved one on a deathbed is a gift. I mean that sincerely, not to be avoided. The tears, the suffering, the pain is a gift, not a curse, not something to dread, to avoid. There's life, there's struggle, there's a lot of good times, and there's death. The same path for all of us. Thank you again, everyone, for celebrating this day with us. We are thankful for this happening as we come out of the COVID restrictions. Like so many of you here that I know of, you weren't given that gift over the last 18 months, and my heart goes out to you. You were robbed of this experience. My last message, Dad, please do not rest in peace. This afterlife thing better be a party for you. You deserve it. No more pain. We all would love one more piece of your infectious, bellowing laugh. We hold on to those memories. They are powerful. We love you, Dad. I can only hope to be a fraction of the example that you've been to everyone in this room that you've touched in your life. fraction of your integrity. Thanks, everyone. Remember, Boris Georgiev, 519-777-8824 for those custom street doors. Thank you.